Welcome to this deep dive explainer. If you've been tracking the year-to-date headline news out of Washington and Ontario, you already know we are smack in the middle of a massive, escalating trade and environmental collision. Today, we're unpacking the heavy reporting trends surrounding Washington policy, incoming USMCA tariffs, and the intense responses from Ontario leadership like Doug Ford. We're going to explore how the movement of municipal solid waste, specifically the millions of tons shipped across the border to U.S.-Michigan landfills from Ontario, Canada, has suddenly become a geopolitical flashpoint. But more importantly, we're going to look at the deep tech solutions stepping in to solve this crisis. We're talking about the 905 Wood digital refinery workflow. We'll see how it utilizes the Google Pixel 10 Pro with Android 16 and the LightArt AI stack to act as a literal financial shield for cross-border logistics. It's an incredible story, so let's get right into it.
Here is exactly how we're breaking it all down today. First, the transboundary waste crisis. Second, USMCA, Trump and tariffs. Third, 905 Wood, the sentient bridge. Fourth, the Pixel 10 Pro AI workflow. Fifth, the digital refinery shield. And finally, Ontario's circular bioeconomy future.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the transboundary waste crisis.
To truly grasp the stakes of the solutions we're going to discuss, we first have to wrap our heads around the absolute sheer scale of the border bottleneck between Ontario and the American Midwest. The crucial number you need to know is 3.46 million. Ontario exports an astounding 3.46 million tons of municipal solid waste, or MSW, to Michigan every single year. For decades, the era of relatively cheap, low-regulation transborder waste disposal just made economic sense. It was literally more cost-effective to ship waste south than to manage it entirely at home. And this dynamic has allowed Ontario to rely heavily on American landfills as a sort of primary pressure valve, keeping local municipal budgets in check and preventing domestic landfills from overflowing.
The level of dependency here is staggering. Canadian imports actually account for a massive 14.35% of all waste disposed of in Michigan landfills. So this transboundary waste corridor isn't just some simple trade route. It's one of the most physically integrated logistics pipelines in all of North America. Every single day, armadas of massive transport trucks cross the border carrying construction debris and municipal waste. It represents a highly optimized system. However, this is also a profound structural imbalance, and it's an imbalance that has just collided head-on with a massive geopolitical wall.
Which brings us to Section 2, USMCA, Trump, and tariffs.
The rapidly escalating trade friction has completely upended the old status quo. Following initial retaliatory tariff exchanges between the Trump administration and the Canadian government in early 2025, the U.S. formally declined to extend the USMCA in July 2026. Now, the USMCA, or CUSMA, as it's known in Canada, is the foundational bedrock of North American free trade. By declining its automatic extension, a ticking clock of mandatory annual joint reviews was triggered. This fundamentally turns predictable, frictionless cross-border flows into highly volatile political bargaining chips. The era of predictable cross-border flow is officially over, and this vital municipal solid waste pipeline is sitting directly in the crosshairs of aggressive protectionist trade policies.
When Ontario Premier Doug Ford says the walls are closing in, it perfectly captures the intense, localized pressure the province is feeling. We need to realize this isn't just political rhetoric about, say, auto parts or steel manufacturing. It directly impacts base-level municipal operations. A sudden, retaliatory tariff on municipal solid waste would cause a catastrophic spike in disposal costs for the province almost overnight, with the very real potential of massive border surcharges looming over every single truckload of MSW shipped across the border. The risk profile of Ontario's entire disposal strategy has basically skyrocketed to unprecedented level.
All right, moving on to Section 3, 905 Wood, the sentient bridge. The Ontario waste and construction industry is completely trapped between that tightening, tariff-threatened U.S. border and a rapidly closing domestic market. Just look at the regulatory timeline squeezing the province right now. By 2026, municipalities exit the industrial, commercial, and institutional waste sector, often called the ICI exit, forcing private businesses to secure their own disposal. By 2029, the RE-Wood policy introduces a total ban on putting clean wood into landfills. By 2034, total provincial landfill capacity hits absolute exhaustion, zero space. And by 2036, the Circle Levy, which is a provincial tax specifically on waste disposal, skyrockets to $60 per ton. The pressure is compounding from literally every conceivable angle.
And the financial contrast driven by these regulations is extreme.
If a general contractor or waste hauler can successfully sort and secure the clean wood rate, known as the amber rate, they pay a levy of just $10 a ton. But if they fail and the load is classified as mixed waste, they get hit with the punitive $60 rate. That variant saves an incredible $1,034 per standard 19.15-ton mothership walking floor trailer load. This massive $1,000 margin on a single truckload is exactly why general contractors desperately need a foolproof way to verify and classify their waste streams before they ever hit the road.
Enter the 905 Wood Digital Refinery. We call this the sentient bridge. To understand what that means, we first need to define the pyrogenic biocarbon market. It's a highly specialized industrial market that involves heating organic waste in the absence of oxygen to create extremely valuable, sustainable carbon products. The 905 Wood system is a complete software and hardware compliance moat that operationalizes the gap between a chaotic, messy construction site and the extremely high purity requirements of that biocarbon market. It doesn't just haul trash, it actively refines physical data in real time.
Let's dig into the tech in Section 4, Pixel 10 Pro AI Workflow.
This is where it gets incredibly cool. The entire digital refinery application workflow happens entirely at the point of collection in harsh, dusty environments. By operationalizing the Google Pixel 10 Pro running Android 16, equipped with the Light RT AI stack and Gemma 4e2b, 905 Wood literally brings Edge AI to the dumpster. Edge AI means the device doesn't even need to ping a remote cloud server to make a decision, which is an absolute game changer in zones with spotty reception. It processes the visual data natively directly at the bin. It performs a binary classification, determining if the material is pure wood or mixed waste, in under 500 milliseconds. This blazing fast, on-site AI verification is exactly how they lock in the lowest legal levy rate and systematically bypass those heavy mixed waste surcharges.
But it's not just about speed, it's about absolute certainty. Think of this Edge AI not just as a cool gadget, but as a rigid digital bouncer operating strictly on the precautionary principle. If the AI's confidence in a visual scan ever drops below 85%, a secondary check called the E4B Visual Fallacy Guard kicks in for consensus. This prevents the AI from being tricked by weird lighting or tricky angles. If ambiguity still remains after that, the load is outright rejected. This strict, unyielding adherence protects millions of dollars in corporate liability by ensuring absolutely no contaminated loads slip through to violate OREG 347, Ontario's incredibly strict environmental regulation governing waste management.
Let's see how that pays off in Section 5, the Digital Refinery Shield.
So all this Edge AI culminates in a highly structured UI/UX output PDF documentation package. This seamlessly generates a request for quote, provides API-linked regulatory compliance status, and crucially, issues a signed USMCA Chapter 4 Certificate of Origin. This certificate is the whole shebang. By providing immutable digital proof that this specific material was harvested and refined locally, it fundamentally changes the legal definition of the payload, right at the U.S. border. It essentially converts physical oversight into a unified, transparent digital log that customs and border protection auditors can verify instantly, dramatically reducing border friction. And the immediate return on investment for utilizing this compliance shield is literally undeniable. If a waste carrier hits the border without a valid certificate of origin during a trade dispute, they face a catastrophic Chapter 4 non-compliance transshipment penalty. We're talking 40% ad valorem, a tax based directly on the estimated value of the goods in transport, which hits you with an immediate $1,140 surcharge per mothership load. Ouch. Conversely, because the 905 Wood AI generates a valid 9-point certificate of origin, proving the load is a wholly obtained good sourced entirely in North America, it earns a complete exemption from these emergency tariffs. That translates to an unbelievable 812% return on investment purely in avoided border penalties. Finally, let's look at the big picture. In Section 6, Ontario's circular bioeconomy future.
By digitizing all this environmental remediation, specifically by meticulously tracking the methane reduction that occurs when clean wood is successfully diverted from a rotting landfill right into the pyrogenic biocarbon market, the digital refinery achieves something truly remarkable. It mints these verified reductions as carbon dividends, specifically CO2 removal certificates, or CORCs. This means the refinery effectively turns a massive geopolitical liability into a highly lucrative, measurable financial asset. Creating this entirely new digital revenue stream helps completely offset any remaining transboundary costs and firmly secures Ontario's industrial leadership in the emerging global circular bioeconomy.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. When international trade wars meet strict environmental mandates, the
The organizations that survive and thrive won't just be the ones operating the largest physical fleets to haul trash. They'll be the ones mastering the data at the very edge of the supply chain. How will AI-driven compliance dictate the winners and losers of the incoming global circular bioeconomy? Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on how deep tech continues to solve our heaviest industrial problems.